I love you, honey, is a phrase that I tell my 10-year-old girl every single day I leave for work. Like many of the parents, you do the same thing. And every single day I feel like I'm the richest person in the world. As a parent, as a father, it is my responsibility to make sure that my girl lives in a safe world and has the peace to grow in peace. This issue should be as simple as breathing, yet unfortunately it is not. Girls' rights are being limited across the world, and this is an injustice that we need to fix.
How can we help girls live a free life both globally and locally? On a quest to tackle this issue, we have my lovely friend, equity specialist Adina Nivukoski, and child protection specialist David Krop from Kenya. They share examples of girls' right to grow in peace, everyday challenges, and the freedom to make their own choices in the countryside of Kenya and Finland. Adina and David will be interviewed by journalist, host, and writer Laura Friman.
Welcome, Adina, David, and Laura.
Welcome.
Hello on our behalf as well, and a warm welcome to all of you here joining us today, this afternoon here at Biorex and also via the stream to discuss girls' rights and defending those rights. We have two fantastic guests here joining us. Let's meet them and let them speak right away. And at any point, feel free to comment on each other as well. Never mind me here. All the way from Kenya, David, we appreciate your work so much. Could we begin by, would you like to share like an anecdote of somehow significant encounter with a girl recently, anywhere, in any context?
Thank you very much. Recent encounter with a girl was during the mentorship training that we were having. We were training girls on life skills and how they can be able to protect themselves against gender-based violence. And then there was this little girl who had been married off by her parents. Her parents had already received the cows as a dowry negotiation. So when this girl was in the training, the parents had sent the men to collect her to go to be married off. And therefore, when the men came, they tried to take off forcefully the girl. But luckily, there was security officers who were able to intervene. But later, when I was able to talk with the girl, she said that I'm not ready to be married off. I'm still young, and I want to continue with my education. And therefore, we look for a safe space for this girl. And this girl now is pursuing her education well and safe.
Such an inspiring story to kick us off. Thank you so much for sharing this. Adina, what about you? Does a specific encounter come to your mind? And I want to thank you as well for your valuable work. You're a great role model for us all.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I think there are a lot of good examples and experiences to take up on when thinking about encounters that kind of inspire as well. And I think I would want to emphasize something that has brought me hope in these times, and kind of a vision for something that, because I feel like now the world situation kind of can seem a little bit depressing when it comes to these topics. There's a lot of backlash of women's rights, girls' rights, and sometimes it feels like we're trying to just hold on to what we have now instead of trying to go forward or making advances. So I think that something that has brought me hope was the My Voice, My Choice petition in the EU, where a lot of women and girls across EU, even in countries where abortion is legal and there is reproductive care, is more available. A lot of young women also still wanted to fight for our European friends, our European sisters, and we really wanted to bring this to be available in all of EU. So I think that that's something that has brought me hope because they eventually passed it. So.
Equally inspiring and a great example of this sort of solidarity between people across nations. Before we get to our main themes and urgent issues, I would also like to know sort of how you got to this point where you are now with your work and becoming girls' rights advocates. Adina, could you begin by telling us, was there like a particular wake-up call for you at some point that girls' rights are not exactly equal, even here in Finland, where we might trick ourselves sometimes into thinking that there is no problem or few problems?
That is a very good question. I think that for me, it kind of mostly my work stemmed from education. That's where I wanted to make a difference. And then after working in that for a while, I think you can see so clearly how education and equality and girls' rights are so intertwined, and it's very hard to accomplish either without each other. And I think that that kind of the intertwinement of that was inspirational to me, and the place where I wanted to make a difference. I think. And it happens, I think, in each continent. So it's not for one country only.
Yeah. David, what about you? What's your sort of backstory?
Thank you. It's great to hear what Adina had shared, and that's the passion actually that is pushing you towards pushing out to ensure that there is girl rights. For me, it happened a long time ago. When I was 6 years old, I actually saw my sisters, the two elder sisters, were subjected to female genital mutilation by force. And being a little child, I could hear their cries, but there was no one who was there to stand by them. And the community at large were actually celebrating. But as a young child, I was really traumatized by what I saw. My sisters were really crying loud, and I could feel like they wanted somebody to rescue them, but there was no one at that time. So through that incident, actually, it shaped me to be the person who I am today, fighting for the rights of these girls, and I wouldn't want to see any other girl to undergo whatever my sisters underwent at that level. So that is the motivation that I carry with me, the memory from that childhood and to the passion that I'm doing today.
That's so beautiful that you were just a child when well, it's not beautiful what you had to experience and see, but this motivation to work for the rights began at that age already, sort of. Yeah. Let's get to our sort of core question here this afternoon. And think about the challenges girls currently face all around the world, and in both of your and our home countries as well. Of course, we want the girls to be allowed to grow up in peace, to have freedom, and to be in charge of their rights and bodies, but does this actually happen right now? Adina, what do you think?
I think that a lot of times when we talk about these kind of issues and girls' right to their own bodies, I think there is nuances that differ between countries in a way that, like we say, we haven't achieved equality in any country. And it's a known fact. And I also think that what you were talking about, female genital mutilation, is such an extreme example of girls' right to not, like that right being not being able to happen. And I think that when it comes to the context of Finland, there is also this idea that we're one of the most equal countries in the world, which is also, it's true, but at the same time, we still have high levels of violence against women. And I think that when we think about these contexts, I think that when we see the girls' right to their own body, there is this idea that, okay, here, the legislation basically protects us from violence. It says it's wrong, and you have that kind of protection in theory, but in reality, we see that there is rising levels of violence, there's rising levels of attitudes with, for example, young men in kind of not supporting, but also accepting, thinking that a woman can deserve violence that they face. And it's very alarming. And at the same time, when we think about the legal system, sometimes the victims it still doesn't work in a way that protects the victim. And we see examples of this all the time. So I would say that in theory, we should have the right to our own bodies, but in real life, it still doesn't happen. And we still need to do a lot of work in bettering these structures, bettering these institutions, and also tackling the core reason of violence. What is it that makes it rise currently? What is it that makes these attitudes in favor even of violence against women rise? And without that, there cannot be true freedom to your own body, even though it could be in theory.
Yeah, so there's a definite gap between the sort of theory and reality.
Yes.
That needs to be addressed and changed. What about you, David? How would you describe the situation, maybe in Kenya?
Yeah, theoretically speaking, just like to say, we have beautiful laws in Kenya. Like we have anti-FGM laws, which is beautiful. But practically speaking, we still have so many challenges that the girls faces. Today, we have female genital mutilation as one of the greatest challenge that the girls face. You can imagine the social norms that dictates the lives of girls. They are not able to speak up. They are not able to decide about their futures, but they just grow to fit in a social norm context where the society decides for them. They are married at the early age. They are just becoming like people who can speak about themselves. But today, no one in the government, we have policies. But to advocate for those policies is where we still have challenges. So girls still face a lot of challenges. We also still have few facilities like schools. There are those places where we don't have schools. So girls do not even go to school. And in terms of social norms, there are community social norms where it is gendered. The boys are preferred going to school, but the girls are not seen as persons who can become better people in the future. So they are seen as source of wealth. They can be married at the early age so that the parents or the families can receive cows and goats because of the poverty levels that are there in the families. Yeah.
You mentioned schools, so let's get to a really key concept of education. How do you see the role of education in girls' lives, also in this fight for girls' rights and freedom? What needs to change? And if you do have an optimistic example of progression that you've witnessed throughout your work or career, you can share that as well. But what do you think about this role of education? Maybe David, you can go first.
Yeah, education actually is the game changer towards girls realizing their potential for a better future. So if there is access to education, education will shape these girls towards becoming better people in future. So if we have like systems that are there, that the girls can be able to utilize these systems and be able to access education at their own levels. In Kenya, we still have communities where education is still a problem. We don't have schools, and we don't have even health sector. So you can imagine people living in a place where there is no school, there is no services, there is no even network, so people even sometimes can't communicate. And sometimes even mothers face challenges when giving birth because there are no nearby facilities. So you can imagine such scenarios where girls face everyday struggles in order to access services like education. Yeah.
Adina, what would you say? And how did this sound?
Yeah, I think it was a very thorough explanation, and also kind of painting a picture of how there can be so many challenges in regards of education. And I think that when you think about education, there is the idea that there is a school, but then there are so many obstacles in between the school and the girl getting to the school. So in theory, it's the kind of obstacles that are in society. There is this idea that girls should not be educated, or she gets sent off to marriage or something else, that are these obstacles that there can be a school, there can be education available, but a girl will still not reach it because there is these obstacles before it. So I'm thinking about the school road in theory, but also in general, the walk to school can also be the problem why a girl doesn't go. It can be too unsafe. There might not be good roads that you could go by, or so many different things that are not the school itself. So I think that we need to tackle those as well, so that the right to education is not only in theory, but in actual real life. And I think that that is something that we need to highlight across all continents as well.
That is so true, and well, also slightly depressing to sort of realize it could be the concrete, actual road to school and education, but also like the abstract, sort of metaphorical road to education. So we need work on both of these fields, and obviously you're doing both this great work, and it's obvious that we need to join this work. This is something we should do together. We need allies in all of this. Whose action do you think is most needed? Of course, everyone's, but who are you wishing to join this fight for girls' rights in particular? What comes to your mind, David?
Yeah, I know it's everybody's contribution for girls to realize their potential and to enjoy these rights. But particularly, we need like the government. The government should provide services like schools and security for these girls. The government should be at the front line towards administering the policies that are there. Like if there are threats along the way to the school, like the girls are being taken away, what are the securities that are there for these girls not to face these threats? And it's the government role to provide security. And then secondly, we also need the parents and the families. The parents actually should be the champions of protecting their girls and ensuring that these girls enjoy the right from the household. People should treat these girls with love. People should see them as great people in future. We also need faith leaders. The faith leaders should advocate for girls' rights in churches and their congregations. They should speak against gender-based violence for girls. And we also need activists. Activist voice is very important. People who can speak when the environment is challenging. Sometimes there are communities which are so rooted into traditions, and you can't speak against this gender-based violence, like FGM. But if we need people who are so strong and bold to speak in such moments against these vices, it will be great.
What a comprehensive list, that's true, and all such relevant points. Anything to add, Adina?
I'm not going to repeat the same ones. I thought they were very good examples. And I also would say just everyone in different professions. I think that it's no mistake that whenever there is a conflict or this kind of situation, that one of the first things that happens is that girls are girls are barred from going to school. We see this kind of happen in many countries, and I think that it is because it's not a mistake, that people understand that education is important. People understand that when a girl gets an education, they get power, they get ability to take over their lives, they have ability to make their own decisions, and I think that that's something that is scaring these, for example, authoritarian leaders. Because of this, I also think that that's not something that happens just like this, that girls are taken out of school. It's something that happens gradually when we start to accept the kind of discussion that a woman or a girl is less than, or is something to be controlled, their bodies or their behaviors or something like this. So I think that every one of us needs to be paying more attention when we hear this kind of discussion in our everyday lives, taking a stance, having difficult discussions, whether you're working in any profession. I think that you really have an ability to make a change in your own work, and I think that not everybody has to be a full-time equality specialist.
Yeah.
You can truly, I believe that you can help and affect your realm of people, and I think that is one of the most powerful places that you truly can make a difference. And then I would say a lot of times we discuss these issues as if girl or a woman is someone who just happens to get raped or mutilated or whatnot. I think we also need to talk about the perpetrators, and people need to also kind of understand what's behind all of it.
Yeah.
What is happening? What is increasing it? So I also think that when it comes to, for example, violence against women, we also need to have the discussion be of all genders.
Yeah. I'm also grateful, David, that you have also in your work highlighted the role of men and required them to take part in these difficult discussions as well, and changing the sort of culture. So thank you for that.
A very great example of it.
Yeah. We're unfortunately running out of time soon, but we wanted to let the girls have their voice here in this room or hall as well today. So on the screen you can, well, not hear, but read the sort of thoughts of a Kenyan girl and a Finnish girl about their thoughts on freedom for girls. And I wanted to close off with a question for both of you, because, yeah, we've listed all the potential allies that would like to join this movement for girls, but what about each of us here in this room leaving this conversation now and going our ways and continuing with our lives and wanting to do something ourselves? What could each of us do to support this cause? How would you sum this up?
Yeah, for me, I would say that it's our opportunity, it's our responsibility, it's our collective responsibility for all of us to treat girls with love, starting with our own families and extending to the larger globe. Let's all share love, and let's all speak against the vices that are there across the globe. For example, in Kenya, we still have FGM, child marriage, and all that. So let's stand up, speak against them, and our collective voice will change the lives of these girls.
Thank you.
That was very, very beautiful. And I would just like to add, I think there is power in staying hopeful and not getting numb to all the world news that are happening, where we're taking a lot of back steps all the time. I think that all of us need to stay strong, what you said, for girls around the world, and also keep working on these things, keep talking about them, not getting numb, not giving in, I think. So I think that the most important is just to not give up.
So hope, love, talk, and acting in our communities as well as locally, but also globally. Thank you so much for joining us here, especially, of course, all the way from Kenya. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone here listening to this talk. We'll take these tips to heart as we go on. Thank you, and a round of applause to both of you. Thank you.